Good morning. And yes, this is Coffee and Cookie with the Rabbi and truth. Can you handle the truth? No. In the movie A Few Good Men, it's yelled out, "You can't handle the truth." And unfortunately, I think that's probably pretty accurate. But I want to talk about truth because, seriously, I think our world is upside down because of a lack of practicing the truth. Knowing the truth is not sufficient. Did you hear me? It is not sufficient. Prove it. Go ahead and say, prove it. Prove it, Rabbi. Okay? Here's what it says in John 8:31. Then Jesus said to those Jews who believed him. So, everybody's a believer here. If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. Other translations say, if you keep my word. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, who have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say you will be made free? Well, let me tell you the truth in all this. You know, what you know and what you practice are often two different things. Do you believe the Bible? Start with that. Do you believe the Bible? Now, next question. Do you keep the Bible? Do you practice what's taught in the Bible? No. Most cases, it's no. Let me give you a few questions that might help get this thing rolling. I ask if you believe the Bible. Do you practice the Bible? Tell me, do you tithe? Do you give the proper 10% that belongs to God to the house of worship where you're being fed? The answer probably is, I give a little here, give a little there. No, tipping God is not tithing. But let's move on to the next question. Do you work within the context of your congregation? You know, it's interesting that there are a lot of people who come, sit, maybe and drop some money in the basket or the plate or whatever it is, or the pushka. But when it comes to actually doing something, no. I remember we had a guy at our synagogue back quite a while ago, and he'd been coming maybe 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. And he made himself quite comfortable and seemed to be fitting in until one day I went to him and said, there's a lady that lives about 3 blocks from you. Would you mind picking her up and bringing her to synagogue? He goes, whoa, I'm just a visitor. Really? And that's how you keep the truth? See, Yeshua knew there'd be a difference between those who know the truth and those who did the truth. It's doing that matters. You read the Holy Torah, and there are certain things, and this is something our governments are really quite messed up on. There are certain laws for murder, rape, theft, insurrection, and yet we ignore those laws. I just couldn't help but noticing that I don't hear a lot of people from the other side of the aisle, who are saying much about Israel, except, let's be careful, come on, folks. We have people who are committing atrocities in God's land on God's people. And though they may not all be saved, they are still the chosen people. You hear what I said? They might not all be saved, but they're still the chosen people. And we need to treat them as the chosen people. And maybe the reason they're not saved because we haven't treated them as the chosen people. And that's the truth. But let's not stop there. Oh, no. We let criminals go in our court with just a hand slap. We don't even stop them in some cases. We bring the rules in, like Colorado, of drug use down to a point where it's not even worth arresting them anymore. If they're all tweaked out on the street, passed out, they're going to die if no one does anything. The officers expect to Narcan them, get them up, get them to the hospital, and then maybe, there might be an arrest, but probably not. Why? Not because of the officers, because of the courts. I work with a lot of good men and women at the PD in Pueblo, and they are the best. They are the very thin blue line. But without them, your world would be full of chaos, and so would mine. Matter of fact, I'm so wound up, I forgot the cookie, and I got my Sherry coffee. Thank you, Jay Lee. Thank you, Miss Sherry. 3, 2, 1. Don't leave it in too long. Excuse me, I'll take my bite. But there's other biblical truths. But are they practiced? Do you love your neighbors yourself? Do you honor the leadership in your church or your parish or your synagogue? Or do you think you're equal to them? I have news for you. If you're the rabbi, your congregation is not your equal. If you're the pastor, your congregation is not your equal. If you're the priest, your congregation is not your equal. Why? Because you're the shepherd and they're the sheep. Take care of the sheep. You hear me? Take care of the sheep. These are truths. Do you practice charity and kindness? These are truths. Do you feed the hungry? Care for the wounded? Do you stand up against evil? You see, we're downgrading our culture to be minimalist. And that, my friend, is a sin. Let me go on to tell you, I asked myself, why are so many Americans not affected by the atrocity of those children that were beheaded in Israel? Because most Americans support abortion. Kill the babies. So they're not moved, and their heart is not aching for those lost children. You and I, we are, spiritually speaking, the thin blue line. And if it wasn't for us praying and helping, chaos would flood in as quick as the Hamas flooded in to Israel. Are you following me? Yeah, I'm upset. Now here's what I'm going to ask you to do. 2 things. Number 1, if you live in a Democrat-ran state, please call your elected officials and tell them you want them to support Israel. 10, 15 calls they'll ignore, 200 calls they'll pay attention, 300 calls or more they will obey and support Israel. You hear me? Pick up the phone. Don't know the number. Look it up. You got a computer. You're watching this. Number 2, I'm going to ask you to support the ambulance service of Israel. And I've put right on the screen there the website for a direct donation. If you don't want to go that way, go to our website, shmasharielpueblo.org, and go through there. But either way, do something positive. Because what's the big difference? The disciples, not the students. They will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. All this to simply say this morning, if you want truth, you better be able to live it. If you want truth, you must be willing to acknowledge it. If you want truth, you have to practice it. Become intolerant of liberal judges. Become intolerant of liberal lawmakers. Why? Because they're permitting our society to erode. Now, I don't mean just our national society. They're permitting the society, the community, your church, your parish, your synagogue to erode. They've taken away the protections. I hate to tell you, it's our fault. It's our fault. Why? Because we want it soft and simple. And when preachers feed only pablum, baby food, how do you expect to be mature in your faith? Take responsibility for your faith. How? Join a Bible study. Okay? But well, I don't know. Don't whine. Join a Bible study. And if it's not what you're looking for, look for another one. But be diligent. If you're to be a disciple, you must practice what's been preached. You must put into context with feet what's being preached. And pastors, priests, and rabbis, if you're listening, if you're watching by chance, listen. You and I, we're the responsible parties. We read in Ezekiel that those who didn't tend to the sheep, God removes from our presence. Are you there? Okay. So now I'm going to ask you to do a little something for me. And no, I'm not asking for money. If you got money today, give it to the Israeli Ambulance Service. Though we need financial support for this program, give it to the Israeli Ambulance Service. Okay? Now, with that understood, I'm asking you to hit the like button. I know that's going to be painful for some people. And I'm going to ask you to hit the share button. That's how we start making a difference in the world around us. If it's good enough for you, it should be good enough for your neighbor. And then hit the subscribe button or the follow, depends on whichever you're on, YouTube or Facebook. Okay? And then hit the donate button. And make sure, if you're going to go through Shamash Ariel, our synagogue, make sure that you put on there for Israel. Once again, our address is ShamashArielPueblo.org. I know you can find it. You found this program. All right? Now, something for you. The daily blessing. And understand the blessing is not me speaking kind and polite or poetic words to you. No, I'm asking for God to rain down upon you from heaven his holy presence and his direction. Don't assume that a blessing is poetry in your ear. Some of the most powerful people in prayer, they don't sound very poetic. Anyway, I'm on a roll. I'll try to calm down. I've got a whole day's worth of classes to teach. But here we are. May the Lord bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and lift up his countenance to you and may give you peace in Yeshua's name. Tonight's program is Standing Against the Opposition. Standing against the opposition. And there's a lot of oppositions. We're going to discuss those tonight. So, and what does the scripture say? So feel free to join us tonight at 6 o'clock right here on Facebook or YouTube or both. And if you can't see us at the moment we're broadcasting, it will be up there for you tomorrow also. So with that said and done, may God bless you and keep you.